Welcome to Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I am Tim Capper. You can follow me on Twitter at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter as well. You can follow me at Cliffy D. And this episode of the Alouettes Flightdeck is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where right now, if you use the promo code FlightDeck-10, you will save 10% off your entire order. So head on over to sportbuffshop.com, buy some merch, support local, and cheer on your favorite sport.
And we're on many places on the internet. You know, you can find us, but we're going to tell you anyways. You can find all of our archive, all 7 years, over at alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can follow us on Twitter at Alouettes Flightdeck, Instagram.com/AlouettesFlightdeck, Facebook.com/AlouettesFlightdeckPod. Merchandise, you can find all of our merchandise over at teespring.com/stores/AlouettesFlightdeck. And on YouTube, youtube.com/AlouettesFlightdeck. Well, it's not the, and I guess it's not the ending that we had hoped for. I guess one of the few positives after talking with Alouettes brass, specifically Brian Waitman, is like, well, at least the team now has 2 weeks to to promote this game rather than just 1 week. But still, what a way for this game to end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yes, at least now we know what's going on. Like, we knew the Alouettes were going to make the playoffs. We knew that the Argos were going to make the playoffs. It was just a matter of who was going to end up number one, number two, who's going to host the Eastern final, and who's going to host the Eastern semifinal. Well, all those questions were answered. We definitely know now the entire CFL playoff picture for 2022, and essentially means that all 4 games coming up this week, there's really no skin in the game. We're essentially getting 4 glorified preseason games when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I'm just, to be as an Owls fan, I'm just happy that I don't have to pay for it. So, because we have been saddled so many times with having these type of weeks where the games mean nothing. And again, as you said, they're just glorified preseason games that we're having to watch. But all because of the 24-23 loss to the Toronto Argonauts in Game 1 of the 2-game series. The Alouettes do clinch second place overall, and we will be hosting the Eastern semifinal against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But we'll talk about that a little bit later, and obviously in next week too, because we're going to be previewing the game. But the game, the game itself, it was exciting, especially that fourth quarter. The game seemed to be, it's like nobody wanted to score to start off. But I think what's a little misleading, because all the talk, Cliff, really was what happened at the end in that walk-off rouge, where in the CFL you CFL, right? That's what you do. But
it was the most CFL finish that one could hope for.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. The best CFL finish that a CFL could finish. Yeah. But the thing, it's what happened on the Alouettes' first 2 drives in the first quarter, which really make that final score, I think, hurt even more. Or, type of what could have been if. And unfortunately, that is sports, right?
It is. It's why they play the game, so to speak. It's it was definitely a bitter pill to swallow. And of course, hindsight is always 20/20. I mean, your first 2 drives, essentially your 3rd and 4, and you get nowhere. The 3rd down drives that one ends in a interception by Trevor Harris, and the second one is that goal line stance for the Argos, which met 0 points on the board. I mean, at that point, you're wondering, why didn't you go for the field goal? Why didn't you take the points in such a critical game? Mm-hmm. And I get it. At least one of those 2 drives, the Alouettes should have gone for 3. And it's funny, it's interesting that I say that now, because last week I talked about how Hamilton and Ottawa at different points had opted for a field goal instead of trying for a touchdown to go ahead.
I wonder if you're going to bring that up.
No, it's live by the sword, die by the sword, right? I mean, like, it's easy to say now that, oh yeah, you should have at least gone for, you left like 6 points off the board on those 2 drives. Fair, but I mean, you want this team to be aggressive too. You want to take the chances. And man, what is it about 3rd and 4 with the Alouettes deep in the red zone that things just don't happen very well, typically do not happen very well for this team?
No, and I think for me, I was going to say on that 3rd down, 3rd and goal from the 1, you have, yes, it seems to be that the 3rd down, just like in Ottawa last week, the 3rd down gambles are not doing anything. A team that came in, with a perfect 21 for 21 2 weeks ago, and just since then, it's just maybe they weren't as comfortable. Well, they were comfortable. Obviously, they went for it, but they did something different. And it's funny, nothing against Joshua Antwi, but in that situation, that's not what you do. A stand back, maybe. It's, or as you said, or go for the 3, because even it's very possible that 3 points could have won the Owls the game, or at least tied it if Boris Bede had made the field goal. But still, you think, and it's funny, I even said to you, I don't, it's early in the game. Surely, it's best to get it done now and see what, and then correct yourselves for the rest of the game. It came back to bite the Owls in the ass, not once, but twice. I mean, yeah, but, it all goes to that first one, by the way, that interception, so early for Danny Mac to be calling, for challenging, which I think put us in a hole too for another play later on in the game. It just seemed that the refs, I don't get it. To me, watching that easily could have been called, in my opinion, should have been called a DPI. But what they saw upstairs is beyond me. I don't know what you think about it, but to me, right there and then, that was a turning point, because not only did we lose a timeout, we're done with challenges. And that occurred, midway through the first quarter.
Yeah. To burn a challenge, you got to be 100% on that. Like, that's going to be almost indisputable. Like, talk about getting some bad intel, because there's no way that Danny could have saw what had gone down there to the point where you can say unequivocally, yes, you have to challenge that. I mean, God, like I said, it was puzzling just to hear that he challenged it. And then, of course, the call stands, lose the timeout, and, of course, worst of all, can't challenge anymore. And I said, this is going to kill. This is going to do them in. And sure enough, there's at least 2 or 3 instances that would have been awesome to have the challenge, or the ability to challenge. But no, couldn't do it. And Alouettes fans are you see them like just foaming at the mouth. But
one specifically with KJG.
Oh yeah,
that mind-boggling after watching the replay again.
No, there was at least a few moments, and even I think there was also another goal line stance where a timeout would have really been crucial. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, couldn't call the timeout because didn't have it. Mm-hmm. So
no,
yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, it's an unfortunate circumstance, and yeah, the Alouettes have no one to blame but themselves for that. But it's it doesn't make it any less easier. Just sit and think about it. But I mean, the way this team played in the first half and the way they played, the adjustments they made in the second half, though, made this a lot more of an exciting football game, because that first half was just a comedy of errors, quite frankly, for both teams, I should say.
For sure. And then the brain fart with 30 seconds left.
Yeah. No, that was. I mean, we've seen some real. Like first halves of football. What is it with first half of football? Just seems like a dog's breakfast.
We've had quite a few this year. We really, I think, Ottawa previously.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But the second quarter, they get it together. They do make the adjustments, and even though at times, I do feel the play calling can be a little conservative, but once they get the playmakers going and this defense gets clicking, my God, this team gets people excited and gets them out of their seats, and they make plays happen. It's just, why not do that all 4 quarters. Like, why do you have to wait till the end? Like, it's like pulling an all-nighter before your big exam. Like, you didn't study for like weeks beforehand, and all of a sudden you're going to try and cram 6 months worth of knowledge into like a couple of hours. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, I remember the days.
Success. Well, I'm guilty of that too. But I mean, like, for a professional football team to perform like that, and you wonder why we're not like tripping all over ourselves to declare the Alouettes like the hottest football team in the CFL. I mean, come on.
I know. I mean, again, and things were, great crowd. The atmosphere was fantastic. SJ
beautiful weather.
Beautiful weather. SJ was in the house. Yeah, I thought I was going to be. You and I both did not know really how, because you underdressed for Ottawa. I was, point. I was just on point. I was unsure. This game was tough to tell because 18 degrees in October. Okay, but it's not 18 degrees in 18 degrees in July.
Right. It's like when they talk about it being a dry cold, it's like it's still cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like 18 degrees is still 18 degrees, but at the same time, in October, maybe. Do I bring a light jacket? Do I bring a sweater? What do I do? Yeah, You
got lucky, dude. You got lucky there, and it's true, because we don't get the sun at the end of the day. Usually in the stands when we normally do, but yeah, again, 24-23, Alouettes lose. First time I really went ham going to try doing some historical research for this. First time the Alouettes have lost on a walk-off Rouge in their history. They've lost on Rouges late in the game, but this is the first time they've lost on a walk-off in team history.
Mm-hmm. And I can just imagine our American counterparts watching this game. Like, you're telling me in the Canadian Football League you can clinch a division, first place in the division, by missing a field goal?
Well, we had that this week already, anyways, because the way that TSN covered that last play was mind-boggling. People were asking, "Can this?" It was such a horrible camera angle on that play. They didn't know what was happening up in the booth. Didn't see that Chandler where they stepped on the end line, which is basically what ended the game. That's why everybody stopped.
Yep.
And even though we had the penalty for too many men, which. How? First time all year on special teams, we've had too many men.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, it's CFL football.
It's kind of funny to be on the kind of funny to be on the other end of that, right? I'm sure Rough Riders fans must have had a field day with. Yeah. It's not so fun having too many men on the field during an important field goal, is it? Like, yeah, I can see how that's not so fun.
Yeah.
I think back to 2009 in the Grey Cup. Like, you live by it, you die by it. It happens. And even speaking with Chandler Worthy after the game, like, I asked him, like, and not to put him down or anything, I'm like, what? Can you explain what happened? Because I mean, like that, like, like you should know your end zone. I said, like, did you just trying to track the ball and you just kind of lost sight of what's behind you? Like, what? And that's pretty much what it was. You see, trying to track the ball and trying to make a play happen, but yeah, unfortunately, his foot kind of stepped a little too far. And
I'm curious to know what play was on. Was it a return play that was on, or was there a free kick play that had? Because he was about to run.
Yeah.
So it again, Alouettes again. The past couple of weeks, they've been able to come back from 11-point deficits, which they had this time around too. And again, it's not the result we wanted. It also that S.J. Green-esque Eugene Lewis catch. Wow. It was there. We were hyped. The crowd was going wild. The players are going bonkers. And
it was on 3rd and 4.
You're right.
Go figure.
Oh my God.
Like I just said, like I said earlier, 3rd and 4 seems to be the Achilles heel for this team. But on that play, I mean, that's where you summon everything inside of you. And love him or hate him, like Trevor Harris, he did what he had to do. He marched his team down the field like he has done before to win these games practically out of nowhere. And for him to find Gino in the end zone like that, making, as you said, just an outstanding catch, stretching out his entire body just to pull that sucker in. Holy crap. I mean, that was insane.
It was.
Absolutely insane. Like even watching it on TV afterwards, your jaw still hits the floor. You're like, that really happened.
I want to know if a Canadian photographer got a shot of that. I would love to have a copy of that picture. I mean, seven third down attempts, Cliff.
Yeah. No, I mean, with this team, like they do not. There's no quit in them. You can say that they definitely have heart. Sometimes I wonder like about the execution of things early enough in the game, but it's like an old car starting. You know what I mean? Like an old muscle car. Like sometimes you got to turn the engine a couple times. You got to try get her going. But once you do, and once it kicks in, and all the cylinders are firing, I mean, it's just so much fun to watch. Like this team can be so much fun to watch at times. As maddening as they can be to watch, they can be so much fun to watch. I mean, God,
I agree.
To be a fan or a supporter, whatever you want to call it, of this team at times, it's like a roller coaster ride. Like terrifying highs, dizzying lows. I mean, just my God, it's it's a trip, folks. Let me tell you.
Oh, for sure. Just over 19,000 showed up. Because I think it was like 19,100. I have to go back and check the numbers again. But it was just over 19,000 on a beautiful summer day, a summer-ish day in the fall. That made no sense. Yeah.
It's just beautiful fall weather.
There you go. Trevor Harris, 25 of 33, 75% completion percentage, 413 yards, 2 touchdowns, and something he hasn't done in quite a few games. He threw an interception. That was the one in the first quarter. Dominic Davis also had 1 attempt. Leading rusher, William Stanback. It's been quite a while due that we could actually say that. 10 rushes, 65 yards. He's getting his groove back, and if he can get hot over the next couple of weeks, we'll see how many reps he gets this week versus Toronto and then versus Hamilton, because we remember how poorly he played, how Hamilton was able to stuff the running game last time. But you know what? It's him and the Fletcher. Fletcher only had 24 yards on 3 carries, but still, this 1-2 punch is going to be fun, as I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the great thing about that 1-2 punch with Stanback and Fletcher is you also know that Fletcher can be a dual threat, like not just on the ground running, but also, too, he's got a great set of hands, and we saw that, too, against Toronto last Saturday.
That's right. Leading receiver, Jake Wieneke. 5 receptions, 121 yards. Walter Fletcher almost had his first 100-yard game. He was second on the team with 99 yards. Then it was Geno Lewis, 6 receptions for 72 yards. William Stanback, 3 for 41. KJG, 3 for 30. Hergy Maela, 1 for 29. We saw that one. That was a beaut. Again, this was during that key drive that led to the amazing Geno touchdown.
I
Tyson.
mean, Hergy Maela is just like Johnny on the spot, like just somehow. And I think at that point, too, like the coverage really broke down around Trevor, and he was basically throwing up a prayer. And sure enough, there was Hergy right there just to move the chains.
Exactly. Tyson Philippot only had 1 reception for 9 yards. Regis Sibasu had 1 for 6. He was the target, by the way, on that interception in the first quarter. Joshua Nantwi had 1 for 6. Did I miss anybody else? Nope, that's it.
Also don't forget Jake and Geno were also the ones that scored tutties.
That's correct. Yes, they each had touchdowns, and we got.
So TD Jake is back.
Yes,
like that's a story all by itself. Finally, Jake Wieneke finds the end zone. Like we've been waiting for this all year. We've been waiting for Jake Wieneke to show that form, and finally, like it took to the second to last game of the regular season for him to do it, but he looked like the Jake Wieneke of old. And if he's got that back, if he's got that groove back, TD Jake is back. It couldn't have come at a better time for the Alouettes.
Yep. And once again, Chandler Worthy, over 200 yards of total returns, punt, kickoff, and missed field goal. Again, been one heck of a player since he's taken over, and the Alouettes traded Mari Alford to Saskatchewan, who, by the way, he's had a great season himself, by the way, if anybody happened to see the game this week. It may have been inconsequential, his return, but man, what a kick return for a touchdown he had.
He's got it, man. I mean, like that's the thing. Like the reason why the Alouettes traded Mario Alford was because Chandler Worthy was that guy, and he had become that guy for the Alouettes. So talk about an embarrassment of riches. Like you had Mario Alford, you got Chandler Worthy, you got Tyson Philpott, who was doing a very admirable job in his rookie season as doing some returns. Darius Pickett, had a couple of returns earlier this year. I mean, like talk about like getting opportunities for these guys, and them making the most of it as much as they can. It's tremendous. Like, I mean, this is something that's been lacking for so many years in Montreal, is a decent returner. And lo and behold, we had not one, not two, but three solid returners with a fourth kind of waiting in the wings. Like, he'll take some kicks back too. And my goodness, it was just so much fun to watch, especially like the special teams this year has improved by leaps and bounds. I mean, like it really has been so much fun to watch. I mean, all the way up until that last, the last play of the game, which unfortunately I think, special teams, they kind of got to own that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. But again, Owls gave up 5 sacks. They only had one. This seems to be an issue as of late. They're just not getting any pressure on these quarterbacks. But still, the defense did well in the second half. Had a few injuries that we need to look into, especially if you're looking at who's practicing this week and who's not. Can be a little concerning. I know Raheem Wilson went down with a knee injury. We know it seems to be pretty bad from what we're hearing from Herb Zukowski, and then Nafis Lyon. Also, he's having shoulder issues.
Well, what's really unfortunate with Raheem's injury was he made an outstanding tackle for loss.
Yeah.
And then he kind of, I don't know if he rolled up on himself or what had happened, like what caused it. Like,
couldn't tell. I agree.
Awkward angle that he hit the ground. I don't know, but he came up and he was limping and it was not good. And it's funny because like the way the Alouettes defense can tackle at times, or not really tackle, is kind of maddening. But this was like a picture perfect tackle. This is the kind of tackle that I would expect with someone that has the speed of Raheem Wilson to be able to make a tackle like that for a loss, no less. Like that was sensational. Like I'd love to see that over and over again. Problem is, gets injured on the play. So, but that is football, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is football. But again, Owls. We now know where we're going to be when it comes to the playoffs. So if you haven't bought tickets already, we can always promote this thing. Is that on November 6th, Sunday, November 6th at 1 p.m. at Percival Molson Stadium, the Alouettes will host the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Eastern semifinal for a trip. Winner will advance to Toronto to play the Argos in the Eastern final. So, but don't look ahead. We've got a few news and notes we want to talk about from this game this week. Also, some announcements that the league has made, and then we'll talk about the upcoming game. But throughout the entire season, though, we have been saying to you, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions on who you want us to have for future episodes, you can email us. You can email me at tim.capper@alouettesflightdeck.ca, and you can email Cliff at clifford.pine@alouettesflightdeck.ca. All things were so positive, and one of the things that I mentioned last week is just having the flyover. Sure, it's only once a year unless you go to Grey Cup and you get to experience it again. But man, dude, I'm just like I said last week. That thing just rumbles through your body and gets you hyped.
Big time. I mean, just the noise. It's the pure noise of the afterburners just flying through, and woof, yeah. Like at that point, you're ready to run through a brick wall. It's and then they do it not once, but then they circle around and do it again.
Yes, sir.
And it's just perfect. And if they can time it for the kickoff, it's just tremendous. Like, I mean, at that point, like everybody's at a fever pitch and just, it's like, let's go. And flyovers, definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. This week too, as everybody knows, S.J. Green signed a 1-day contract to retire as Montreal Alouette. The Alouettes surprised everybody, and I'm giving huge props to the Alouettes organization for doing this. They set up a booth, a tent, where you could go and you can meet up with SJ, take pictures, get an autographed picture with him. Again, nothing but props to the Alouettes organization for setting this thing up, even on such what seemed to be short notice. It was great meeting SJ, wishing him well, getting him a picture. And you know what's funny? I was just wearing my my third jersey with his name on them. The old 425 jerseys, the signature jerseys. And I had his name on it, and I didn't even think about it. I wore it just out of respect for him because of what he did, knowing he was in town. He signed it. I'm not a guy to get my stuff signed. You know this, Cliff. But dude, that was so much fun. Getting a picture with him and just having him sign the jersey. And obviously, as we mentioned last week, it's in the works. We'll get him on the pod. We want to talk about his career. But it was so much fun seeing him.
Absolutely. I mean, SJ always has been and always will be a class act, 100%. I mean, just the love that fans have for him and the love he has back for them is like nothing else. I mean, he just, he was there, and it was so great to be able to say hello to him again and, reminisce just a little bit. And, I even got to talk to him a little bit about his son, who is also a wide receiver and is also SJ Green the third. Like no pressure, kid, but that's a pretty big name to live up to. But,
wow, I'm surprised SJ didn't actually put a junior on his jersey. That's the big thing these days, where players are putting junior and senior on the back of their jersey. I never even knew that.
And here's what really, really makes me laugh. SJ stands for Solomon Jr. So he's Solomon Jr. Green Jr.
That's great.
Because I remember him saying, my son SJ. I'm like, wait, so is he Solomon Jr. Jr.? It's like, no, I'm Solomon Jr. Jr. He's Solomon Jr. the third. Like, oh boy, I need to sit down.
So that means his dad is Solomon Jr. Green Senior.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, so it was so awesome to see SJ again, and obviously, like you said, wish him all the best in retirement. So happy he came back to Montreal, got that, got a chance to get his due, get his flowers from everybody in the organization, have the fans cheer his name one more time, and reminisce about all the good times. Like, they were playing highlights throughout the game of some of the most outstanding catches he made, including the Canada Day 2010 catch in Saskatchewan in double overtime. Like, whew, to this day, it's still incredible that he made that catch like that. Not only that, one fan even got that image of him stretching out to make the catch, got it tatted on his arm. I think we talked about that last week, but the Alouettes actually posted a photo of SJ meeting this guy and seeing the tattoo. It's like incredible. Like, I'm sure SJ had to have been like just mind blown. That, like, wow, you actually got me tatted on you. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah,
so.
and again with Gino making an SJ Green-esque catch was perfect too. But I mean, it's my one gripe though, really, because I don't know if people knew who SJ was. I wish the team had given a little bit more information on what they had set up. I understand it was a last minute thing, but I think he deserved, when the 20th anniversary team, Grey Cup winning team was here, the lineup was a lot longer. And I understand there was a lot more people there too. But this is SJ. This is a Montreal legend when it comes to Alouettes football. And I just wish maybe we got there at the right time. I just wish, maybe it had been longer earlier in the day, because we went to the tailgate first. But still, I wish the Alouettes would have promoted it a little bit. But still, props to them for setting this up.
Well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I think they knew that SJ was coming up to do the retirement thing, and again, no one would have blamed them if they said, okay, we'll have him come out at halftime and wave to the crowd and blah, blah, blah. And, fans would have been happy just to see him again, like actually literally see him on the field again. So for them to kind of throw this together almost last minute, like, even if you didn't get a whole lot of promotion for it, like, I'm sure once fans found out, like, oh my gosh, there's SJ Green, and, having a chance to go and meet him and take a picture with him, get an autograph, what have you. I mean, like, that in and alone is good. So could it have been promoted a little bit better? Maybe, but I think if this was truly thrown together last minute, like, I'll give, as I said, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for that one, and just the fact that they were still willing to do that and give them a chance for fans to wish him well and get a chance to see him one more time in the flesh. I mean, to me, that's outstanding right there, and you can tell SJ was just so happy. Like, he could feel the love from everybody, and it was amazing. Like people coming up to him, and lots of people were wearing his jersey, and just I could hear them talking about how amazing it was. Like helping the Alouettes win 2 Grey Cups back to back. I mean, like he was integral part of that. And yes, folks, I did speak with SJ, and he will be on the podcast.
Yeah,
I can't say when, but he said like, yeah, I want to be on. I want to talk with you guys. I want to share my stories and all that. I said, dude, anytime you want. So we're gonna make it happen. It's not a matter of if, ladies and gentlemen, but when SJ Green joins the Alouettes Flight Deck.
Yeah, hashtag stay tuned. Speaking of story and stuff like that, it came out later than we had hoped before we taped last week, but that mini doc, the mini doc for Gino Lewis was released by the league, and I'm going to ask you how you felt about it first before I give my thoughts. Because I'm going to go ahead and ask you about it, but because I know we wanted to try to maybe do something a head-to-head type of thing, but we weren't able to set it up the way we wanted to. But what were your thoughts on the mini documentary for Gino?
It was great. It was definitely a mini documentary because I think it was about 15 minutes long, maybe 16 minutes, but kind of left you wanting more, to tell you the truth. Like okay, you did a great job. You managed to tell his story for the most part, but would have liked to have seen something a little bit more in depth. Like it was really cool to see him, go back home and, to speak with some of his former coaches, speaking with his dad, his other family members. I would have liked to have seen more, to tell you the truth. Like it was kind of funny though to see Vernon Adams as a part of it. Like, I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, it was VA and Gino that really put the Alouettes on the map, especially in 2019, as far as making football relevant in Montreal again. Like those two, I think, were the linchpin of that 2019 team that just got everybody excited about Alouettes football again. And now Gino's kind of, he's now become the man. Like he is essentially the SJ Green of the Alouettes in 2022. Like he is that superstar. And now everybody knows who Gino Lewis is, which is fantastic. And to me, it was a great documentary. I think they did a really, really well done production of it. But I would have liked more. You know what I mean? Like maybe a half-hour documentary at least. I mean, there's probably more stories that could have been told. It just felt like it was, I won't say rushed or abridged necessarily, but like it just felt like, okay, like this is cool to see this, but now when do we get the rest of it? Like I felt like there was a lot more of the story to be told, and we just got like a teaser of it. Like just kind of like, okay, well, there's more coming, but there's not more coming, or maybe there should be more coming, but we'll see.
Right. So. And I think what if you read the story too, is that it's funny how things happened, is that because of COVID, this was actually pushed back, or pushed up rather. This was actually was an idea for somebody that was working with the league at the time, where this was before COVID and stuff like that. So this was scheduled to come out around 2020, but luckily, it's weird to say that, because of the situation that happened and the pandemic, it got pushed. So we got to see a little bit more. I think it was done well. I'm sure everybody looks at the the whole series of, God, how long has it been since they did those series of documentaries for the CFL? It's been a while, eh?
You're talking about the Traditions series?
No. The Engraved on a Nation series.
Engraved on a Nation?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. You're going, like, that was 2012, actually.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
So 10 years, yeah. So it's not those. We had the one for AC, which was a full hour, and all of them were an hour. He has still more story to tell, and for me, it was such I loved it, because obviously it's weird to say how my Kevin Bacon 6 Degrees of Separation is tied to Gino, and I'm sure I've told this story before, so please, everybody humor me. My basic, when I met Gino for the very first time, it was, once I found out who he was, is like, I saw your dad play university basketball. And we're not talking on TV here, folks. I mean, literally, I saw his dad, Junie Lewis. That's what I remember from being a teenager, seeing his dad play. And it's so, it's such a small world. And being able to see his dad, the post game, the post credits scene with him playing 1-versus-1 versus his dad. it just brought me back. I thought I think it tied in so well, and I think it's that type of story that, as I said, it made you think, it made you reminisce, and as we wrote on social, Cliff, do you actually remember Gino wearing number 73 as a rookie? I didn't.
Gosh, yeah, like that was kind of jarring.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like saying Ben Cahoon. He wore 32?
2.
Yeah. It's not what we remember at all. But seeing Gino in his first year at training camp wearing a 73.
Man, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's going way back. I mean, it's funny to think about, like, preseason. And I vaguely remember that play, and... it's so funny, like, especially back then, you're like, okay, like, this is just another guy trying to make the team, and okay, made a catch, and, that's fine, and okay, I mean, that's something, but how often do we see that? Like, we'll see, like, someone, really shine in a preseason game, and then if they're lucky, they make the practice roster.
Oh, let me count the ways, dude. You and I can both do this. Just let me count on my fingers how many times we've seen that occur.
Yeah, but for Gino to go past that moment, and he bought his time on the practice roster like most superstars do, and it was just a matter of be ready when your number is called. And sure enough, Gino finally got into a game, was finally able to show what he can do. There was he would go through those kind of awkward phases where there was just like nothing doing, like he just couldn't connect with the quarterback or nothing like that, and he even said, like, at one point, like, he thought he was going to get cut because he just wasn't connecting with Vernon of all people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that one particular play that just magically worked, got the touchdown, and then from that point on, it's like, okay, this is who Eugene Lewis is. Let's try and get him more into the offense because I think we got something here. And sure enough, through his hard work, his dedication, and just his belief in himself more than anything else, just as his belief in his talents and his just his dedication to the craft, so to speak, wasn't going to let him just up and quit. Like he was going to keep working, and once he got that opportunity, he was going to do everything he can to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And look at the results. As I said, he is now a household name. Like, he is one of the premier receivers in the Canadian Football League. Like, you put him up, as I said, like, we've even talked about it in the past with him, is like, you look at like the Brian Burnhams, the Kenny Lawlers, Dominique Rhymes, like, he's up there with those guys. Like, he is in that conversation. Like, he is, for my money, one of the premier CFL players in this league, without question.
Yep. And obviously this off season will be very interesting considering he is a free agent, and with the, with the addition of guaranteed contracts that we've seen, and the money that's going out so far in the early signings that we've seen, it's going to be a very interesting off season.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, like, that's now got to be priority one for Danny Machocha as general manager of this team. Is you got to keep Gino an Alouette. It's going to cost you a few bucks, clearly, because I can think of 8 other teams that could definitely use a Eugene Lewis. I could think of an XFL that's starting up in February that could use a Eugene Lewis.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, this is your guy. This is the guy you build around now that Vernon Adams is not with the team anymore. I mean, this is your superstar. You got to treat him like a superstar. You got to pay him like a superstar. I think the Alouettes have been very fortunate to be able to get him at relatively good pricing. Now it's time to pay. I mean, especially if the Alouettes win a Grey Cup this year, he's pretty much going to write his own ticket. And if you're Danny Machocha, you're just like, okay, Gino, here's a blank check. Fill it in. What do you want? Because we cannot afford to lose you. This guy has to retire an Alouette. Full stop.
Yep. And that makes me wonder too if with the addition of the designated Canadian rule coming in 2023, if players who think that they have a shot of being named the designated Canadian for the season, will they also throw that in as an incentive for their contract? So you never know. Never know.
Yeah.
I mean, again, anybody out there who but Gino Lewis should be our designated Canadian. Still want to see some of the rules behind it. By the way, and I'm honestly asking this, if anybody happens to have seen the current CBA, the finished final CBA, contact me via email or on social, because I wanna get caught up on some of this stuff before it actually occurs. So Real quick, by the way, before we talk about the announcement of the players who are going to be who have been chosen as our players of the year, leading into the CFL the CFL awards season, we were on TV again. What the hell? Right at the 3-minute warning of the second half. Of the first half, right after that non-DPI call. That's when we were on.
Yep.
So check out our socials. It's there. So it's right place, right time, I guess, eh? I mean, it's twice already this season.
Yeah, like, I mean, we don't go out of our way to, we're not one of those like media whores that like to, make themselves all about themselves. Like we're just there. If the camera pans on us, I mean, there's not much we can do about that. But it's kind of funny and kind of cool, especially when you got other people pointing us out on hey, there's the Alouette Flightdeck boys. Like, oh, geez, here we are. Okay.
And also something that has never happened to me, but I know you have before. Such a joy to meet Pinball Clemens for the very first time. I was able to meet him on the field after the game, and I didn't know what to. The dude, he's a legend. Pinball Clemens is a legend, and as much as I gave him the accolades and the props that he deserved, he turned it right back on us as fans and as supporters of the CFL. You couldn't ask for anything more for somebody who wants to look up to a former player, executive, and somebody who's representing the league. No better person to look up to than Pinball Clemens.
Yeah, no, it's. I was very fortunate to meet Pinball at the 2016 Grey Cup in Toronto, and yeah, just such a warm, generous, kind man. Just so engaging. Like, I think that's the big thing is he's such an engaging fellow. Like he just loves to talk football, loves to talk life, loves everything. And
he wouldn't let go of my hand, dude. I was like, I understand. I knew what he was doing, and he was saying, "I'm not going to let go of your hand." Like, I knew what he was doing. It's not like I was trying to pull away, but it was. Again, you're right. Engaging is the best word. That's the best word for pinball. Yeah. And I was like, "Hey, you can hold on to my hand all you want, dude. As for shaking hands, that's fine." It was again. I hope to meet him again. It would be an honor.
Yeah, just a class individual altogether. And yeah, it's just great to see him again. Like I said, just, look at me. I'm at a loss for words still. I mean, like I've already met the guy. So this is my second time meeting him, and I'm still blown away just at what an absolutely wonderful individual he is. The Argonauts are so lucky that he has been the face of that franchise for 30 years, really, when you think about it, like not just as a player, but also as a head coach, general manager, president, lead governor. Like I think he's done everything but sell popcorn and soft drinks at the stadium. And I'm pretty sure if you asked him to, he would do it with a smile, the big ass smile on his face. I mean, like I say, he's just such a wonderful ambassador for the league. I mean, anyone who's ever met pinball knows exactly what we're talking about. Like just that, the kindness, the generosity with the time and everything like that. And it's just fantastic. And you're talking league wide too. Like I've not met, I don't think I've ever once heard a negative story about pinball. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful individual. And yeah, it was such an honor and a treat to speak with him again. And, to spend a few minutes, like for him to spend a few minutes of his time, like, cause he probably wants to get going back to Toronto with the team and everything like that. But no, he sat and took time with us, and it was incredible. And I'm so thankful that he did. And yeah, just folks, if you ever have the chance to meet Mike Pinball Clemens, by all means do so. You will not regret it for an instant.
No, you won't. As we mentioned, there was an announcement by the team today and the league on these players who are considered the finalists for each of the postseason awards, Cliff. And I know you had the list in front of you, and you were pretty spot on one of them, though.
Well, when I looked at the list when it was released by the league, like when I looked at the nominees and I'll go through each and every one of them, but I'm like, yeah, I cannot find any fault with this. So let's go through and we'll share our thoughts. But I mean, like, I think we're pretty much in unison with what was chosen.
Yeah, and we were hoping we were hoping for one of those tete-a-tete moments. But yeah, we were talking about this pre-show, and yeah, we're not getting that this week.
No, like I said, here we go. Without further ado, the Alouettes nominee for most outstanding player, obviously Eugene Lewis. I mean, and this is completely undisputable. Also, too, they did note on the press release if these were unanimous choices, and sure enough, Gino definitely was unanimous. I mean, look, we just finished talking about, we spent a good part of 15 minutes just talking about how wonderful Eugene Lewis is on the field, and even off the field too. He's just absolutely fantastic. But I mean, like, this is on the field stuff that we're talking about here, and yeah. I mean, outstanding would definitely describe Eugene Lewis in 2022. I mean, no matter who the quarterback was, no matter what the situation was, he would get open. He would find ways to make plays happen. Like the guy moves the needle big time for the Alouettes. I mean, without question, when you talk about most outstanding player, as far as an Alouettes goes, that is Eugene Lewis. He is the most outstanding player on this football team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Without
Can't dispute it, right?
Nope, can't. Nope, I'm at a loss for words because you're correct. I can't. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Next, most outstanding defensive player, Adarius Pickett. Once again, this was a unanimous choice by the voters, and without question, I mean, Adarius Pickett has really turned a corner in 2022. I mean, he was part of the secondary last year, and I'm gonna be honest, he looked a little lost as part of that secondary. Moved to strong side linebacker, and what a force of nature he has become. Just absolutely punishing. I will say a couple of high hits here and there, and yeah, it's cost him a few bucks in the process. Kind of made his opinion known about the referees. After that, cost him a little bit of cash too. But the way this guy plays, like he plays balls to the wall, like he leaves it all out on the field, and you want that. Like this defense, there's so many key elements to it. There's a lot of times where this defense, I feel, doesn't live up to its entire potential. But when it comes to the linebacking core, I mean, Adarius Pickett is that guy. I mean, he really, truly has been so dangerous. Opposing quarterbacks, they see him coming and they're like, oh, hell no. Just try to get the hell away from the guy. And sometimes you're lucky and you get away from him. But, I mean, if he wraps you up and throws you to the ground, that's it. Stopped right there. I mean, just ask McLeod Bethel Thompson. Like, he got leveled by Adarius Pickett last Saturday. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as defensive players go, I mean, there's some pretty good players on this team. No question about that. But I think Adarius Pickett definitely is head and shoulders above everybody and very much a deserving nominee as most outstanding defensive player for the Alouettes.
Can you think of what it would have been like if the team had both Adarius and Greg Reed this year?
Well, Greg would have had to be playing this year too.
But but you know what I mean. How much more, to have both of those guys on the field at the same time. That's what I mean. But yeah, you can't take anything away from Adarius in any way, shape, or form because hey, he was unanimous. The dude, everything you've said is true. Sure he had those fines, but still, he's had one hell of a year.
Mm-hmm. Next on the list is most outstanding Canadian. And that would go to our safety, Marc-Antoine Dequoy. Kind of hard to dispute this one, too. I mean, he's been a playmaker this year for the most part. There's been times where we've been kind of critical of him, not going to lie. Such outstanding speed, and at times just made him a lot faster at missing tackles. But when the plays that he did make, absolutely outstanding. He's got 4 picks this year, including one, again, this past Saturday. Mm-hmm. I mean, mind you, McLeod Bethel Thompson shouldn't have thrown that ball so deep like that. But, I mean, like a center fielder, Marc-Antoine was able to track the ball down and snag it. I mean, it's just, like the way this guy, and let's not forget too, he's dealt with some adversity this year. He's had it pretty rough this year, unfortunately, with the untimely passing of his mother. And you can tell he's playing for her. Like you can tell he wants to dedicate this season to her and her memory. Really made plays happen for the Alouettes this year defensively, and the fact that he's from Île-Bizarre, Quebec. I mean, Quebec-born superstar. I mean, what more could you ask for if you're a member of the Montreal Alouettes to be on your hometown team and be able to shine like he has? So, to me, it wasn't a unanimous choice, but he definitely has stood up and stood out this year. So, as far as outstanding Canadians go, yeah, I have absolutely no problem with MAD being the nod for the Alouettes. And then next we've got most outstanding offensive lineman, Landon Rice, who could have also made an argument for most outstanding Canadian too, because yes, he is Canadian. But as far as this offensive line goes this year, I mean, you're talking about guys that have, for the most part, played extremely well this year. I feel like this line has really gelled together and really come up big at crucial moments. Landon is one of the few players I think has played every game this year. And I know it hasn't been easy, especially at the guard position. I see him definitely as a mentor for Pierre-Olivier Lestage, because to me, like, it's a very important position as far as the defensive line goes. I mean, everybody on that line has a role to play, and Landon to do what he does, and I think he swings out to tackle too sometimes if needed, and for him to help keep Trevor Harris or at the time Vernon Adams upright, mobile, that's crucial. And the job that Landon's done this year, even if you don't really notice him necessarily, he's there. And I think it's one of those things where if he wasn't there, you would notice him even more. So for him to do his job the way he has, I'm definitely not mad at this pick at all. Next on the list, most outstanding special teamer. Who else could it be than Chandler Worthy? You could probably make the argument for David Cote, because David Cote has done an outstanding job too as far as field goals go. I think he's 40 for 47, which is nothing to sneeze at when you think about it. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a kicker. But Chandler Worthy, I mean, ever since he's been a member of the Alouettes, he has just lit the field on fire. I mean, he's just been outstanding. Like, yes, house call after house call after house call this year. Something we haven't seen a whole lot of at least until Mario Alford came along. But Chandler was cast aside by the Argos. The Alouettes brought him in just before the end of training camp and looked fantastic. Like, when Alford went down to injury, Chandler stepped up, made plays happen, and pretty much said, this is my job now. And to the point where the Alouettes felt comfortable trading Alford to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So if you're going to trade if you're going to trade a talent like Mario Alford, you better have somebody outstanding to replace him. And sure enough, Chandler Worthy is, without question, an outstanding football player. And I am so excited to see what he does for the Alouettes come playoff time. I remember in 2019, Mario Alford in the Eastern semifinal, he had a great return touchdown.
Yep.
I would not be mad at all to see Chandler Worthy get everybody up and out of their seats at Percival Molson Stadium and score a kick return or punt return touchdown in hopes of beating the Tiger Cats and going on to the Eastern final. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, Chandler Worthy is that guy and definitely deserves the nod. By the slimmest of margins, I will say, over David Cote, but he definitely deserves to be recognized as most outstanding special teams player. And last, but certainly not least, most outstanding rookie. This was unanimous. We talked about it last week when he was a member, or he was a guest here on the Alouettes Flightdeck, Tyson Philpott. My goodness, what a first season. Like, talk about making an impression early on in your career. Tyson Philpott has done exactly that. Absolutely outstanding. Now that he's starting slot back for the Alouettes, unfortunately, as a result of the injury to Reggie White Jr., he's now been put into that role and he's answered the call every single time. Like, he makes plays happen. Like, he is quicker than a hiccup, has educated hands. The guy, just at 22 years old, is already looking so polished and so professional. And the scary thing is, the best is yet to come. We have not even scratched the surface on this kid yet. I'm so excited to see the potential of what he can do over the next couple of years. And obviously, we're not the only ones to have recognized how awesome he is, because, I mean, he is truly head and shoulders above all the other rookies on this team. And it's not a slight by any stretch of the imagination. There's some good young talent on this team, or first year talent on this team. But what Tyson has done this year for the Alouettes, truly amazing. Like, I remember when he was drafted, like, I'm sitting like, really? We're drafting another national receiver in the lineup? Like, wow. Okay. So, I mean, to me, that shows, like, okay, the dedication right there of making national receiver a part of the conversation. Like, that's pretty impressive all by itself. But to see what this kid can do, knowing that, okay, he's won a Vanier Cup, he has championship experience, and now you're bringing that here to Montreal. Oh boy. And the playmaking ability of this young man is second to none. I'm so excited to see what he's going to be able to do in an actual playoff game for the Alouettes. I think Montreal really has to do whatever they can to get this kid open. Trevor Harris has to find a way to get this guy the ball more often, get more touches on this guy. Because as far as I'm concerned, like, this is the rookie of the year. I'll even go so far as to say I would not be surprised at the Grey Cup in Regina that he is at the CFL Awards as the Eastern nominee for most outstanding rookie this year.
Oh, it's going to be tough too, considering, yeah, for him to win it would be nice, but man, I'm looking at the rookies here. most likely who he's going to go up against, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I agree with you. I think he will be the Eastern nominee, and he also has one thing up on his twin brother that he can never be taken away. He got the nod for Rookie of the Year on his team.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week with him, that friendly competition so much with his brother Jalen, and like they're obviously pushing each other to be great. They're both trying to, I won't say necessarily one up each other necessarily, but you take a look at the stat sheet, like, oh, Jalen did this, oh, Tyson did that, and oh, he got a touchdown, oh, he made a great return, and yeah, it's just that they say iron sharpens iron, and that truly is the case with the Philpotts, and yeah, it just makes for exciting football. And as I said, I'm so happy to see what Tyson's been able to do this year, and just knowing that we've got this guy for the next little bit, it's so exciting. And I'm just so excited to see what he can do as a part of this offense. And my God, just knowing that we barely scratched the surface, where the best is yet to come, and he's already done this much so far. Whew. Exciting times, folks. Exciting times. If you haven't had a chance to listen to the interview we did with Tyson last week, by all means, go check it out, because yeah, this kid is going places, as you can see, and straight to the top as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. One quick question I want to ask you before we go to the preview for this week versus Toronto. Thoughts on Nathan Rourke being nominated as their Player of the Year and their Canadian of the Year, considering he played basically what amounts to half a season.
Essentially, yeah. Well, that just speaks to the season that he had, as short as it was. And I'll be honest, I didn't think we were going to see him again at all in 2022. I mean, a Liz Frank injury is nothing to sneeze at, but
no.
I mean, this guy must be Wolverine the way he was able to recover. Like this is incredible. Just to hear that he's going to be playing probably just one quarter's worth of the last game of the regular season. But my God, I mean, the fact that he's able to come back from an injury like this is just going to increase the legend, and it's going to make things very, very interesting, because let's not forget they've got Vernon Adams there now, and now he's basically been, like Vernon's been one of the many reasons why the Lions were able to stay competitive. They didn't just fold over and fold away and die because Nathan Rourke got hurt.
Yeah.
Like VA came in and he helped keep this team going. Like basically kept things moving for the Lions. But now with Nathan Rourke back, like that changes the conversation again for this team. And to see what he's done has just been tremendous. And God forbid if the Lions make it to and even win the Grey Cup. I mean, at this point, forget it. He's going stateside. He's going to the NFL. Someone's going to find a job for this guy. But wow, yeah. I mean, it just speaks to how incredible he's played this year. I mean, with only 9 games, to be able to put up the stats that he did, and you could tell the impact that the Lions had in the West this year. I mean, being able to compete with like the Winnipegs and the Calgarys and stay neck and neck with those teams.
Yep, and
is no small feat.
And shattering Canadian CFL records.
Yeah, I mean, my God, I mean, this guy. You talk about generational talents. Nathan Rourke, without question, is a generational talent, and definitely great to see him recognized as such this year. And yeah, a lot of cases can be made for him being most outstanding player. I mean, despite Zach Collaros, despite Eugene Lewis, even, who truly could emerge as the Western nominee, or the Eastern nominee, sorry, for most outstanding player. I mean, but compared to what Nathan Rourke has done, I mean, my gosh,
yeah, I know
it's wild just to see what he's accomplished, and knowing that his season's not over. It's still going. It's incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
No kidding. So as we everybody knows now, this weekend's slate in CFL action is basically, let's get some reps for some of these other guys, rest some people. Alouettes will be playing at the Argos on Saturday afternoon. Argos are getting the home bump. According to 5 Dimes, they're favored by 3.5 points. Cliff, over under is at 48.5. But that really, the game itself is it is what it is. But that really isn't the story, because the Owls are going to be resting to Trevor Harris. and it's going to be giving the Alouettes two players that have not gotten a start all year. They're going to give them a little bit more time under center. The most time really for one of them since training camp.
Mm-hmm. No, it's they haven't announced the starter yet, but Danny Machocha did say that both Dominique Davis and Davis Alexander will be seeing time at quarterback this coming Saturday, and I'm excited because you and I have seen what Davis Alexander did in training camp. There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot to like. And I'm really excited to see him in a actual game situation. Even if the game technically means nothing in the standings, as we said, it's essentially a preseason game. Last time he played a preseason game, he did pretty damn good, I got to say. So with some extra reps and also with no pressure at all, really, when you think about it, because, okay, fine. If the Alouettes win, they go 9-9 for the year. They don't have a losing season technically, and if they lose, they're 8-10. But still, they've solidified second place. They will be hosting the Eastern semifinal. I mean, this game truly is a chance for a lot of the players that we haven't normally seen before to get some honest to goodness reps and see what happens. See what kind of depth this team really truly has. And I'm excited personally to see what what Davis Alexander can do. I think this is the moment he's been very patiently waiting for. Because again, the only way he was going to see the field this year was if Trevor Harris got hurt, or if, God forbid, the Alouettes were able to, sew up the division sooner. But this is this is the hand that's dealt now. This is his opportunity to shine, and I couldn't be more excited for him. I'm really excited to see what he can do, see how he plays with not necessarily all the ones, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the players are going to get the rest, the veteran rest. So I just want to see some plays. I want to see something interesting happen. So I really hope AC decides to open up the playbook just a little bit, just to see, let's throw it against the wall, see what sticks kind of thing. Like, I would love to see that. And, win or lose, I just want to see something that I want to be somewhat entertained, because let's face it, this entire weekend now, unfortunately, it really is kind of okay, I'll watch, but, you're just not excited. But knowing that Davis Alexander will be getting some time at quarterback, I'm definitely excited about that.
For sure. And also for Dominic Davis, too. People remember, too, that he is currently tied for the Alouettes record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a season. I don't think he's going to catch Caleb Evans, who currently holds the CFL record, but it's very possible that he could set a new team record. Depends on,
It just needs one.
It just needs one, and let's hope they don't get to that point where it's a third and short. So because it's just been that's one of the things. I hope they do get to that point, because that's one of the things that really needs to be improved, especially this week and going into the playoffs, because it just happened too much over the last couple of weeks where a third and short has done absolutely nothing for the Alouettes. So that's one thing that they need to shore up too, but. Again, it's going to be. It's not the same type of atmosphere. As I mentioned before, I'm glad that it is not a game in Montreal, because I was happy to get the game that we got last week, even though we lost. But still, we're one game. Even with this, we're one game closer to the playoffs. But don't look ahead. But it should be I'll be watching this game no matter what. I'll still be cheering. I'll still be screaming and ranting and raving for anything that I hate. But I just want to see these guys do well, and hey, let's get a little bit more. Let's see what the reps that can help Davis Alexander for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's again, I don't expect Gino to play, so I mean, if that means Tyson Philpott gets a little bit more time, gets a chance to get more into the offense a little bit. Hergy Mayala as well, if he can get these young Canadian receivers going. I mean, to me, that's going to be key as well. And that Davis has worked extensively with the younger players as well, because that's just what happens. Obviously, the ones play with the ones, and the twos and threes will play, with usually the rookies, or I don't want to necessarily say for the forgotten players, but the players that are not exactly the superstars, shall we say. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see what kind of chemistry is happening there. And really, truly, that's how you got to look at this game. It's just go in, stay healthy. It's obviously got to be played. I mean, it was scheduled, so I mean, you gotta go through the motions, but just don't do anything too crazy as far as don't get yourself hurt. Knowing full well that you're going to be back in Montreal for the Eastern semifinal. I just want to see. I just want to see this team open things up just a little bit and just have some fun with it. Why not? I mean, at this point, it's like playing with house money as far as I'm concerned. Would it be cool to be able to say that you finished the year 9-9 and not have a losing season? Yes, it would. Is it necessary? Not really. Again, 8 and 10 teams have won the Grey Cup before, and if Montreal is the next team to do it, then so be it. I mean, 9-9 is nice. 8-10, okay. Well, it is what it is. I mean, the Eastern Division this year was just quite the adventure, let me tell you. But
it ended better than we expected.
Yeah. Also, too, Toronto's going to be resting a number of their starters as well. Chad Kelly, who got a touchdown in Montreal last week. He's apparently going to be getting the start, so I'm sure he's jacked about that because this is someone that throughout the offseason was just so excited to be a member of the Argos and to be a member of this team and get whatever opportunities he can. Like, he's been mostly used in short yard situations, but I think Toronto too is going to be curious to see. Okay, well, if God forbid something happens to MBT, can this kid step in and in his place, and is he potentially even the future for the Argos? So this is his chance to prove that, hey, I belong in the conversation. So I imagine they too, like Argos fans too, have to be wondering what they have in this kid as well. So I think it'll be an interesting match for both teams in that sense. It may not be the prettiest football, but it's football. That's got to count for something.
Exactly. It may be the end of the regular season, but still have some games to watch. Even though they, as I said, they're glorified preseason games, but still, it's still football to enjoy. So hope everybody enjoys the last week of the regular season of the 2022 season, and then starting next week, dude, we're hoping to have three weeks of 1-0. That's all that we want, but we got to get there.
Absolutely, and it's unquestionably the most exciting time of the year. November is playoff month. It is Grey Cup month. It is the most important time of the year if you're a CFL fan. And again, folks, Montreal is in it. They are hosting Eastern semifinals. So if you haven't gotten your playoff tickets already, go ahead and do so. I would love to see this stadium sold out again. And let's not forget, the last time Trevor Harris played in Montreal for an Eastern semifinal, he had a heck of a game. So here's hoping that lightning can strike twice. And this time it'll be a good thing that Trevor Harris has an outstanding game in the Eastern semifinal at Percival Molson Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. We will be back next week. Again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, just either reach out to us on social media or email us. But we're heading into the playoffs, dude. We're heading into the playoffs, and we're going to have some fun. So,
yeah, but first we got to take care of one last little bit of business. Go to BMO Field. As I said, just go there, do your thing, stay healthy. And after that, playoff time, baby.
Exactly. So enjoy the games this week. Cliff, I'll talk to you soon, and we'll talk to you also next week, fellow fans. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.